Hello, happy Sunday sa inyong lahat. Narito muli ako para magbasa, mag-share ng isang magandang storya tungkol kay Jesus. I-set up ko lang po bago ako mag-start. Sandali lang po. Set up ko lang po. I-edit ko lang po kasi tatanggalin ko po ang ayuda. Kasi gusto ko ito ay libre. Tatanggalin ko lang, switch off ko lang. Basta tungkol kay Papa Jesus, hindi ako maglalagay ng money. Mukhang okay na yata. Teka. Double check ko lang. Double check lang natin. Para sigurado. Para siguro. Okay. Mukhang okay na po. Mukhang okay na. Ayan. Ayusin lang po natin. Medyo malabo ang dating dito. Para pwede nyo rin sundan ng pagbabasa ko. Yan. Mukhang malinaw na dito. Ewan ko po sa inyo kung okay din. Sabihan nyo lang ako kung naglo-loading o malabo. Pero babagalan ko po ang pagbabasa para mas maunawaan natin ang mensahe ng ating Panginoong Diyos. Ayan, malapit na po tayo magsimula. Ayan. Almost there. So, ang babasahin po natin ngayon ay ang The Miracles of Jesus, the loaves and fishes. Yan po. Yan po ang ating ating babasahin ngayong umaga. Araw ng Linggo, 13th of September 2020. Sana okay po tayong lahat, safe, at walang nararamdaman. Sa mga may nararamdaman, tulad namin, ay get well soon sa atin. Huwag po sanang lumala pa. At mag-ingat po lagi tayo. Mahirap na po magkasakit ngayon. Kaya tayo ay laging mag-iingat. Medyo lobat na, so aking aayusin Ayusin natin para hindi maputol ang ating pagbabasa. Para maganda, dire-diretso po tayo, walang aberya. Ayan. Ayan po. Konti na lang. Sisimula na po tayo. Antay-antay na rin tayo. Baka may gustong makahabol. Maganda rin lang simulan natin sa puno. Pero kung hindi nyo masimulan, pwede nyo naman pong balikan. Madali naman po. Di po ba? Alam naman natin ang dapat gawin. Ayan. Less than a minute, start na tayo. Mayroon na po tayong 3 nanonood. Maraming salamat po sa mga sumusubaybay. Maraming pong salamat. Maraming pong salamat. Ayan po. para tayo ay ma-refresh, tayo, maging masigla tayo kasi nakakatuwang magbasa tungkol sa Diyos. Makinig ng mga music tungkol sa Diyos. Okay, sige, simulan na po natin. Salamat sa nanonood sa atin ngayon. So, let's begin. The miracles of Jesus, the loaves and fishes, and Jesus walks on water. Edit natin yung title. Meron pa palang and Jesus walks on water. Pasensya na po sa boses ko. Medyo nasisipon po tayo. So this was retold for easy reading by Sylvia and illustrated by Roger. It's a Bird Books. And acknowledgement, the Bible passages on the end papers are from the Good News Bible, published by the Bible Societies in Collins, American Bible Society, 1976, used by permission. So, yeah, kaya hindi po ako magpapaayuda dito. Walang ads, walang kahit ano. Tinanggalan ko po siya ng option for that. Na-switch off ko because ito ay para sa Diyos. So, sharing lang po tayo, sharing lang. Coming together and sharing the Word of God. Okay, set up ko lang. Okay, yan, pwede na. Sabay-sabay po tayo. The loaves and fishes. Something woke Jonathan up. It was the sound of a boat being dragged down to the water. Jonathan peered over the edge of his father's fishing boat, where he had fallen asleep in the hot afternoon sun. Salamat Twin. Salamat Twin Ola Sab. Mamaya mag-shoutout ako after magbasa. Some men were launching a boat. You are very tired, one of them was saying. We'll row over to a quiet spot. Then you can have a rest and tell us all about your travels. Pakita ko din ang picture. Yan. Ito, baba ko siguro para mas kita niyo. Yan. Tingnan natin, pasok ba? Pasok. Yan, iusog-usog ko na lang. Ayun. Pasok, pasok. Okay. Yan. Medyo baba natin ng konti. Okay, okay. Yan. Para kita nyo din ang mga letters at words. Ayun. Ayan. Sa mga batang gustong sumabay sa akin pagbabasa, welcome na welcome po. Happy Sunday, happy Sunday. Okay. Next page. Jonathan settled back onto a pile of dry nets to sleep again. Just as he had made himself comfortable, more voices caught his attention. There he is! He's gone out in the boat with his disciples. Come on, said another voice. Let's run round the edge of the lake to meet him when he lands. Suddenly, the beach was full of men, women, and children running and calling out to each other, this way to find Jesus. Jonathan jumped from his boat. So that was Jesus rowing off with his friends. Jonathan wanted to see him too. He grabbed his basket of food and hurried off with the crowd. My father's bad leg was healed by Jesus last week, a woman was saying. I want him to heal my swollen arm today. He cured my son's fever, a man said as they ran, puffing and panting round the shore. There were so many people that Jonathan was almost crushed in the crowd. There's the boat! There he is! A man called. It's coming in just up there in the bay. Jonathan was quite out of breath. but he ran on. They arrived at the water's edge just in time to steady the boat as Jesus stepped out. Jesus looked into their eyes. He saw the suffering of those who were ill. They are little poor sheep with no shepherd, he said to his disciples. He walked in amongst the crowd, putting his hands gently on the sick, the deaf and the blind, healing each other or healing each one of them. Then he began to tell stories, and everyone settled down to listen to him. He told stories about mustard seeds, fishes, nets, hidden treasure, and pearls, all to do with the kingdom of God. Jonathan listened intently. Time passed, and the sun sank lower in the sky. As Jesus ended his teaching, one of his disciples said to him, "This is a very lonely place, Jesus. It is getting late, and the people are a long way from their homes. They are hungry now and tired. Send them away before it gets dark. Send them into the villages to buy food." Jonathan had been leaning on a rock close to Jesus all this time, hearing every word that was said. The crowd need not go away. Give them something to eat, Jesus said. Has anyone brought any food? The disciples called out to the crowd. We ran here in a hurry. We didn't think about food, everyone answered, except for Jonathan, who held up his basket. Andrew, one of Jesus' disciples, led him over to Jesus. This boy has got some food, he said, and he unpacked the basket. He has 5 barley loaves and 2 small fishes. What good is that amongst such a big crowd? Jesus picked up the crisp brown bread and the 2 fishes. Jonathan smiled at Jesus. He wanted to say, I don't mind if you eat them all, but he was too shy. Tell everyone to sit down in groups of 50, Jesus said to all his disciples. As people sat down, their clothes spread out round them, making a bright pattern of color. Jesus stood with the food in his hands. He looked up to the sky and thanked God for it. Then he broke up the barley loaves and the 2 small fishes. He handed it out to the disciples. Share this among the people, he said. The disciples went round to every group. Jonathan got some. The family by him got some. The men behind him got some. Every single person in every group got some. I feel quite full, said Jonathan, wiping his mouth. How many people do you think are here? Jonathan asked a neighbor when he had finished eating. I've been doing a quick count, and judging by the number of groups, I should reckon well over 5,000, answered the neighbor. 5,000 men, that is, not counting women and children. Over 5,000? Said Jonathan, amazed. and they've all eaten my dinner. Then he called out suddenly, I'll help. The disciples were coming round again with big baskets, picking up all the crusts and crumbs which the people had dropped. Soon 12 baskets were full, and nothing was wasted. Look at the picture. Yeah. Moving on. The men began to talk to each other. We could do with a man like Jesus to be our king, one of them said. Yes, said another, if he can feed us like this every day and heal us when we are ill, he would make a good king. Come on, said another. Let's go and make him our king. Jesus knew what the men were thinking. He called his disciples to him. You go on ahead of me in the boat, back to the other side. I want to be quiet here for a while, by myself, he said. And all of you, he said to the crowds, go back safely now to your homes. Jonathan joined the family he knew for the long walk home. Wait until I tell my mother how many people ate my dinner, he said. And as they left, Jesus climbed higher up the mountain to pray so no one in that great crowd ever knew what happened later on that night. Walking on the water. For a moment, Jesus watched the crowd trailing home, back along the sandy lakeside path. Out on the water, he could just see his disciples' boat with its sails stiff in the breeze. Then he turned to go higher up the mountain to spend the evening in prayer. There's the boat. With this breeze, we shall soon be safely back, Peter said. You others can rest. Andrew and I can handle the boat. Just as he spoke, a rough gust of wind suddenly pulled the rope from Peter's hand. Another gust blew from the other side, and all the disciples fell in a heap on the floor of the boat. Help me get to the sail down. Help me to get the sail down. There is a storm coming, Peter shouted above the wind to Andrew. We'll lose the sail if we're not careful. Andrew and Peter tugged at the ropes and lowered the sail. James and John quickly took the oars and began to row. From side to side, the boat tossed. Andrew and Peter took 2 more oars. They rowed. They rowed hard, but they made no headway. The tossing waves swept into the boat and soaked them. The boat went first one way and then another in the gusts of wind. We are not getting any nearer the shore, groaned Matthew, who never liked being out in a boat. on the mountain, Jesus felt the wind on his face. He knew that a storm had risen and that his disciples were working hard at the oars against against the wind. Between 3 o'clock and 6 o'clock in the morning, he began walking over the lake towards them. He heard Peter call out, "Keep rowing, rowing, keep rowing. We must not give up." And he saw the boat rising and falling in the big waves. "Keep rowing," he said. As the boat rose on a wave, Peter saw Jesus coming towards them. Another wave dashed over the boat and hid him from view. The moon came out, and again Peter saw Jesus. All the others saw him too. "A ghost! Did you see that ghost?" one of them called. They rowed on, terrified. Jesus walked nearer and nearer. "It is a ghost!" the disciples screamed. Above the howling wind, they heard a voice call to them. They knew the voice. It was Jesus. They heard him say, "Don't be afraid. It is I, Jesus." "It is Jesus walking towards us on the water through the storm?" the disciples exclaimed. Peter rested his oars and called out loudly to Jesus, "Lord, if it really is you, tell me to come out to you on the water." All the disciples listened for the answer. Was it really Jesus or was it a ghost? "Come to me, Jesus." Jesus' voice came clearly over the water. Someone grabbed Peter's oars as he jumped over the side of the boat onto the water. He began to walk over the waves, keeping his eyes all the time on Jesus. He was getting nearer and nearer. The wind howled round Peter, and he could feel the waves tossing to and fro. He took his eyes off Jesus and looked at the fierce, splashing waves. He felt his feet sinking down into the water. "Save me, Lord," he shouted. "Peter is sinking," the disciples cried out in panic. In one stride, Jesus reached Peter, grabbed hold of him, and pulled him to the surface. "Why did you not trust me?" he asked. "Do you have so little faith?" Together, Jesus and Peter climbed into the boat. The wind dropped and the waves became smooth. All the disciples worshipped and praised Jesus joyfully. "You really are the Son of God," they cried out. The end. So again, everybody, this is the book called or entitled The Miracles of Jesus, the Loaves and Fishes, and Jesus Walks on Water. So again, I'd like to thank everybody for staying here and listening, despite us having a cold and not being able to read as good as we could have. And yeah, stumbling on some words, some new words. Yeah. But anyways, this is all for our Lord Jesus Christ and for those who are interested to listen and to read and can maybe read it or listen to it again. It's here for you all. It'd be a good reference as well for those looking for this storybook. And again, we are not asking anybody to give us any donations towards this story, as this is not our own book, and we are just reading it for the sake of sharing to our fellow neighbors, friends and families on YouTube. So yeah, this is just our little way of sharing the word of Jesus Christ. And we are not receiving any donations from this video, nor will we be accepting any monetization, as I clicked it off before we started. So again, would like to say a great let us say thank you to Twin of Laws Hub for visiting us earlier. And if you're still here, thank you. Thank you. I try my best to read as well as I can, but sometimes, due to circumstances and unavoidable circumstances, we can always uh, expect mistakes. But we try our best to rectify it, modify it, and correct ourselves while we read. And yeah, this is a good practice ground. YouTube has given us the platform to practice our reading skills, and that's what Lazy does. I mean, it's not Lazy, sorry. That's what Daisy does. She learns. She tries to learn every day different things, may it be reading, writing, maths, games, you know, art, and all the rest of it. We're here. Daisy and friends are here to keep on learning. So yeah, we learn from our mistakes, and we're very glad that some of you give us these lovely feedback, and we appreciate it. Constructive ones as well, as this can enable us to improve our services. I think I said what I have to say. Everybody, continue enjoying your Sunday. God bless us all, and may God protect us during this difficult situation in our lives. And yeah, don't forget to say a little. No. Don't forget to say a little prayer as well before you sleep, for our safety and protection. All right. God bless, and mag-ingat po tayong lahat.
Goodbye. Bye, everybody.